Hi there, Danny Fitzgerald with the Small Business Development Center here in San Diego and Imperial Counties, and happy to continue our Meet the Lender series. Today, we're going to talk to Fernando from Primary Funding, who has some great approaches and a lot of different ways to be able to help small businesses be able to access capital. So, Fernando, could you go ahead and introduce yourself as well as your company?
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Appreciate the opportunity. Love working with the SBDC. So my name is Fernando Ponce. I'm with Primary Funding. I myself have a pretty long history in the lending space. I actually worked for Chase Bank for about 11 years, did commercial finance there, and eventually decided I wanted to go and work for a smaller company, local based, that I can really kind of get in with the community and do some of those deals that I wasn't able to do at the bank. So Primary Funding was a great fit for that. Primary Funding is based out of San Diego and has been here for about 27 years now. So a long time in the community. We really focus on being a community-based lender, working with those customers that maybe are not able to qualify for traditional bank lending, and working with them then to also help them become bankable again at some point and get them back to a traditional lender.
Fantastic. And so why are you, Fernando, in small business lending? You've been in it for a long time. Why are you a small business lender?
Yeah, it just really attracted me working at the bank. I started off on the consumer side, and it was fine. I mean, I enjoyed it, but as I started working more and more with business owners, I really gravitated more towards it. I like the mentality of the business owners, of the entrepreneurs. They take a lot of risks. They, really make things happen. And I found that I really enjoyed working with those people. And so I've never looked back ever since moving to the business side.
Well, that's fantastic. No, I mean, it is definitely good to be able to do that. So for Primary Funding, I know you all fit some particular good niches. And so what types of small businesses best fit your small business lending?
Yeah, great question. So primarily it's going to be B2B industries, right? So if you're selling to other businesses, that's where we're going to have the best success rate and we're going to be the most impactful. Really, what we like to do is we like to finance accounts receivables. We like to finance purchase orders. So if you're working with the government, if you're working with large retailers, if you're working and that can be local, federal or municipal governments. But if you have, either POs that you're getting and you need to put money out the door up front, and you need help mobilizing on those orders with capital, that's going to be a good fit for us. Or if you have work that you've completed, you're sending those invoices in, and now you're going to get paid 30, 60 days out, we're a great fit to come in and bridge that gap and provide capital based on the work that's been done and completed to help you make payroll, help you cover whatever other overhead costs you have. As far as size, I mean, we like working with small businesses. I mean, we're going to do, companies that are revenue around 250,000 up to 20 million, in some cases. It really just depends on the overall need. And we try to be really flexible and help those that are, that need the help.
Fantastic. And so for a small business who's coming in, could you describe a little bit of the lending application and eventual underwriting process for Primary Funding?
Yeah, so typically I'm going to be the first point of contact, right? So I'm going to get to know you. We're going to have a conversation just like this and maybe through Zoom or over the phone. I'm going to learn about the business, really understand what your financing need is. Once I get a good grasp of that, I'll send a needs list out to you in an application. And then once you get that information back to me, usually takes me about 48 to 72 hours to kind of sort through everything, get a list of questions together. I'll get back to you with some questions on your financials, and then we'll have what's called our stage 2 call, where we actually get on and we'll kind of go through some of those questions and make sure I understand everything clearly. So, that's going to, all in all, that underwriting process is going to take us maybe about, like I said, 2 to 3 days. And then once we have all that updated information, we'll typically make a decision on the deal within another day or two and try to get a proposal out to somebody within a week's time frame from actually getting everything. And then from there, if we're able to get the proposal out, everything looks good and you sign it, we'll work towards funding, and that's usually another week. So approximately 2 weeks is kind of our average. It might be a little bit faster. It might take a little bit longer in some situations if we have a more complex borrower. or a borrowing situation, but for the most part, it's about a 2-week time frame typically.
Okay, fantastic. And how does working with SBDC help your clients as they apply?
That's incredibly helpful. The SBDC really helps business owners understand how to approach the lending process, right? Because some clients, some customers have experience already. Maybe it's their third or fourth time borrowing. Maybe they've bought a building before or something. And so if you're a seasoned business owner that has experience in borrowing money, maybe it's not as valuable. But for those companies that really it's their first time going out and trying to acquire financing, it's a pretty complicated process. And the other thing is all lenders are different, right? I mean, there's lots of lenders that on the outside you would look at and say, oh, they do the same thing that primary funding does. They lend based on receivables. But when you get down, kind of into the minutia, my company might have a really strong appetite for a specific industry. Maybe they're a little bit better with that industry. And then another one that maybe focuses on like trucking or something, right? So working with the SBDC is really helpful because they really help to identify through their network of lenders, hey, you're based on your business and, kind of where you're at and your industry, you would be a great fit for these two lenders over here, right? So I know when a client comes to me from an SBDC event or from an advisor from the SBDC, they've already really done their homework and they've qualified the borrower to understand that they're probably a really good fit for me, right? So once they get to me, it's a much easier process because it's, it just shortens the time frame because the client already is being sent to the right place. Whereas, sometimes when people come to me from other places, it may or may not be a good fit. We kind of have to go through that process and then I may refer them somewhere else if I can't do it or if it's not a good fit for me. So I think just the overall saving time on the process by them understanding the business and then the SBDC sending them to the right lender, it's very helpful.
Fantastic. No, I know it's been a great relationship. We've worked with primary funding for a very, very long time and really appreciate that. And so to kind of conclude, what are 2 tips you like to give small business owners when they're looking for access to capital? Yeah,
so my first one is always work with an SBDC advisor, right? I mean, that's like it's a no-brainer really. It's a free service. I mean, you're going to get the knowledge, these advisors are incredibly knowledgeable and they know what they're doing. They know what to look for. So they're going to really help you put your best foot forward right from the beginning. So that would be number one is just go to an SBDC advisor. You can trust the SBDC. They're going to do the right thing for you. Tip number 2, I would say especially right now with, there's been a lot of money flooding the market, from the CARES Act and, there's just a lot of questions going on right now. So especially for lenders, how they're going to look at that going forward, I think it's very important to have not just an advisor from the SBDC, but also like a good accountant or a good CPA that you're going to rely on to really put those numbers together and that you can count on. Because a lot of business owners, unfortunately, they get so caught up in operating the business. Sometimes they don't focus on the numbers and on the quality of the financials. And a lot of issues can be evaded if you just have those numbers on a monthly basis. You're looking at that, you're seeing your trends, you're understanding where your cost is going up, where your profits are coming from, where you're losing money, and the more you understand those numbers and how your business is functioning and how healthy your margins are and all that, you can't do that without quality financials. So the better quality your financials are, I know it's an investment. A lot of times you think like, well, I don't, when I get to this dollar amount in revenue, then I'll invest in a good accountant or a good CPA. The sooner you can do that, it's going to pay off in spades in the long run because the better quality, the better quality your financials are, the better access you're going to have to low cost funds as well over time. So definitely invest in a good bookkeeper or accountant or somebody that can really help you to understand your numbers.
Fantastic. Those are great pieces of advice. So really appreciate Fernando from Primary Funding coming on to our Meet the Lender series and really appreciate learning more about primary funding and all the wealth of experience you have with small business lending.
No, it's my pleasure. We love the SBDC. We love working with you guys. So we will continue to support the SBDC and be a proud sponsor and member of all your events.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.